Aya has been with me for 17 years now. She is the oldest of the cats, and she is one that I was in high school, and I had a friend, and that friend called me and said that her mom was calling the animal shelter because the kitten that they had acquired was 6 months old, very, very feral, bit and clawed and destroyed the house, and her mom didn't want to deal with it anymore. So she was calling the animal shelter, and they were going to come pick her up. At this point, I was working with an animal activist group in the neighborhood, and so my friend was like, please, do you have resources? Do you know something? Can you help? And so I, of course, tossed on my shoes and walked 3 miles because, I'm in high school, I don't have a car, and our town is small enough we didn't have a bus route or anything, or at least not one that I was aware of. But I walked the 3 miles to her house, and sure enough, I show up, and I ask, I'm like, okay, where's the cat? And I'm told the cat's hiding. She fled into the basement, and we go down there, we're looking around. Finally, we find her, and she is in the insulation of the basement ceiling. And I am told, don't bother. You're not going to be able to get her down. Animal control is on their way, and they'll handle it. And I am worried at this point because I know our shelter is full. There was no space for other cats. So, worst case scenario, they would put her down. Best case scenario, they would tag her and relocate her to a colony. But, she's little. I didn't want that to happen to her. And after I'd heard her story, I was like, yeah, there's no way. I'm just going to let this cat have 0 chance. And so I climb up into the insulation and I pull this cat out. And at this point, my friend's mom is shocked that I was even able to get the cat down. But then she's like, okay, well, cool, you got her down. She's hissing and spitting and clearly ready to bite you. There's no way you're going to get her into a cat carrier. No way. And it's one of those carriers that, has a front opening door, and that's about it. So, obviously, trying to shove a cat into a tiny little hole like that isn't gonna be easy. So, I tried it, and she freaked out, which is to be expected. And I went, okay, new plan. And I unscrewed the top of the lid of the carrier. And I said, I'm gonna put her down, and then you're going to put the lid down on top. And we did that, put her down, and closed the lid, and it worked. Awesome, great. And they're like, okay, so what are you doing with her from here? And I'd already made up my mind. I took her home. We started walking the 3 miles back, and I stopped outside the local grocery store. And my friend stood out there with her while I went inside, and I bought a temporary litter box. I bought litter, I bought food bowls. And then we came back out with all that, and we went on our way home. And when we got there, I lived in a roommate situation in a house. I was not supposed to or allowed to have a cat, but that was not going to stop me. We smuggled her in like contraband, and I closed the door to my room, and I opened the door to the crate. She didn't exit the crate for a long time, and I mean like a long time. When she finally did exit, it was to run directly underneath the bed. And that is how the next 6 months of our relationship went. Is I would go to school, I would go to work, and on kitty cam, she would slink out, look out the window, lay on the bed, sniff the closet, cat things. And then the minute I got home and I turned the knob of that bedroom door, she was under the bed like clockwork. It wasn't until she was a year old that she finally, let me pet her. I came home from school. It had been a really bad day, and she was sleeping on the bed next to the window. I opened the door, and it startled her awake. But for some reason, she decided that she was more comfortable on the bed than darting for safety. And so she just sit there and she watched me as I, slowly as possible, dropped all of my stuff. And I sat on the edge of the bed, and I'm sitting here, my heart's beating real fast. I'm like, one wrong move, and she is gonna flee. I know that that's what's gonna happen. And so I'm like, I can't mess up. I can't breathe wrong. I can't twitch wrong. I so much as look at her wrong, and it's game over. But she eventually made her way over to me and just started to sniff. And then she booped her head to my hand, and that was it. We were best friends from then on out. She did not like anybody else. That much was made very clear, as she would very often beat the crap out of Neo, one of the people that I stream with, because he lived with me, and she would just beat the crap out of him. He would, say something snarky, he's getting beat. He would walk too close to her, he was getting beat. Other people would come over, and she would run and hide. She wanted nothing to do with them. Oh. I found a meme cat. Look at that. Yeah, she wanted nothing to do with other humans. It was just me. I was her person. She picked me, and no one else in the world mattered. As she got older, she's gotten a lot more tame. So she tolerates other people. I think the biggest betrayal, though, is she met Greg 8 years ago. And ever since she met Greg, I'm no longer her person. I was just filling the spot for him. And now that he's a part of her life, that is all she wants. She still loves me, she still lets me snuggle and hold her, and tolerates when I have to do the hard things, like giving her a bath or clipping her nails. But Greg is the one that she goes to for love and snuggles. And that's okay.